So welcome everyone. I'm Anthony if it's your first time to the channel, and today we're going to be going into the sliding technique. So slides, how to practice slides, but everything we're going to be practicing now, all of the techniques are going to be based on the minor pentatonic scale. So that way you're doing two things at once, right? You're memorizing the minor pentatonic scale, which is the bass. If you want to jam, if you want to learn other stuff, you want to solo, or just get your fingers used to playing and memorizing the patterns, really the bass, because even the larger scales later, the 7-note scales that build on that, are all based on these patterns, these positions, okay? So if you don't know the minor pentatonic scale or not familiar with the patterns, because I'm not going to go over them every single time, then go to the Minor Pentatonic series and go to that and learn take all 5 classes and keep going through them until you learn the 5 patterns, just so you have an idea and so you're a little familiar with the patterns. It doesn't have to be perfect, you don't have to memorize them completely, but I'm going to show you now how to practice slides, and we're going to mix the slides with hammer-ons, right? So there's also the lesson on here if you don't know how to do hammer-ons and pull-offs, which is just hammering your finger on and pulling off, right? But I have a tutorial on here, a lesson on how to do hammer-ons and pull-offs and how to practice them in the minor pentatonic scale. So if you haven't checked that out, go to that one first. That's part 1 of the Guitar Techniques for Beginner series. This is part 2. So we're going to build on that. We're going to be using some hammer-ons and combining the techniques together. That way you start getting used to, your fingers get used to memorizing and flowing with it. And then one day you'll automatically be adding them in, okay? You want your hands memorize them, you play this, get used to it, you'll be jamming, and then you'll just start using them. So let's get right into it. What we're going to do here, we're going to start with sliding on each string up the whole minor pentatonic scale. Now, the reason this helps you memorize it so well is because normally we were running up and down, right? In the 3-note runs class, if you've taken that already, we were going, when we learned it, we just went 1 note at a time, so. And then when we did the 3-note runs, we did it in 3-note runs, so. So if you haven't taken that class, I would suggest going back and doing the 3-note run exercises first, being somewhat familiar with them. Remember, patience, right, guys? There's no way around the practice hours, but be patient with yourself. Just take 1 or 2 exercises and keep doing them, patiently doing them until it gets easier. And gradually go faster and faster, and then you can start eliminating some of the exercises and combining them into one, right? So for example, now we're going to use hammer-ons and sliding at the same time. This is a great exercise for pentatonic because we're going to be going 1 string up, 1 string down, instead of going up and down this way from string to string. So let's do it. Let's start on the 6th string. And I'm not going to go over every position, but I'm going to tell you the notes as I do it. So you're going to put your first finger, we're in the F minor pentatonic, by the way. I'm always doing it in that because you can clearly see where it starts and ends. Then you can move it up and down and transpose to whichever key you want to play in. This guitar is tuned in E, just so you know, regular standard tuning. So first finger on 1st fret of 6th string, you're going to hammer on the pinky on the 4th fret and slide up to the 6th fret. So, okay. The key with sliding is that you need a good hammer-on, right? If you're hammering on beforehand, you need a good hammer-on, so, because it won't sound, the sound won't last. That's how you'll know that you didn't hit it hard enough or hit it cleanly enough. So in the hammer-on tutorial, if you haven't taken that, you can go back, but we talked about how you have to make sure you really hit it right between the frets clean, right? And get a firm strike, so that's building up your finger strength. And hitting it accurately, so hitting it with the calloused part of your finger, right? The tip of your finger, the strong part, instead of the meaty part. And try not to bend the string, right? A lot of times when you start out playing hammer-ons, you bend the string when you hit it because you're trying to hit it hard. But try to keep the string where it is. And this is all practice, all time, and it's so worth it to put in the time to get it really accurate and really good if you can, okay? It'll pay off later, I promise. So, 1, 4, slide up to 6. 4, 6, slide up to 8. 8, 11, slide up to 13. and then going back down. 13, pull off to 11, slide down to 8. 11, pull off to 8, slide down to 6. 8, pull off to 6, slide down to 4. 6, pull off to 4, slide down to 1. So how that would sound now all together. Back down. And that's the whole 6th string. So it's great, you can learn this way too, so you can run up the minor pentatonic scale this way. It'll really help you know the patterns well because you're shifting between patterns, especially in the middle part. So come to the fifth string now. 1st fret, hammer on to the 3rd fret, slide up to the 6th fret. 1st finger, 3rd fret, hammer on to the 6th fret, slide up to the 8th fret. 6th fret to the 8th fret, slide up to the 11th fret. 8th fret to the 11th fret, slide up to the 13th fret. Back down. 13 to 11, slide down to 8. 11 to 8, slide down to 6. 8 to 6, slide down to 3. 6 to 3, slide down to 1. And then how it would be together. Fourth string. So 1st fret, hammer on to the 3rd fret, slide up to the 6th fret. 3rd fret to 6th fret, slide up to the 8th. 6th fret to the 8th fret, slide up to the 10th fret. 8th fret to the 10th fret, slide up to the 13th. Backwards, 13th to the 10th, slide down to the 8th. 10th to the 8th, slide down to the 6th. 8th to the 6th, slide down to the 3rd. 6th to the 3rd, slide down to the 1st. How it would sound together. Third string. 1st fret, hammer on, 3rd fret, slide up to the 5th fret. 3rd to the 5th, slide up to the 8th. 5th to the 8th, slide up to the 10th. 8th to the 10th, slide up to the 13th. 13 to the 10th, slide down to the 8th. 10th to the 8th, slide down to the 5th. 8th to the 5th, slide down to the 3rd. 5th to the 3rd, slide down to the 1st. How it would go together. This is going to be really good for your fingers, I'm telling you. Like, you memorize this, and you just do these runs, you combine these two things together, the up and down with the 3-note runs, and then the sideways, you'll know these patterns so well in and out really quick, okay? So, 2nd string. 1st fret to the 4th fret, slide up to the 6th fret. 4th fret to the 6th, slide up to the 9th. 6th fret to the 9th, slide up to the 11th. 9th to the 11th, slide up to the 13th. 13 to 11, slide down to the 9. 11 to the 9, slide down to the 6th. 9 to the 6, slide down to the 4. 6 to the 4, slide down to the 1. And then how it will go together. And lastly, the 1st string. So 1 to 4, slide up to the 6. 4 to the 6, slide up to the 8. 6 to the 8, slide up to the 11. 8 to the 11, slide up to the 13. Then backwards, 13, pull off to 11, slide down to the 8. 11 to 8, slide down to 6. 8 to 6, slide down to 4. 6 to 4, slide down to 1. And then together. Backwards. So use that as a measure as well. How long does your note last once you slide down? And that's something that can take a really long time to get accurate, and it's just be so patient with yourself, because we don't use these fine movements of the muscles, right? These fine movements of our fingers, and that's really what you're developing, is like a fineness where, like an artist, I mean, that's what it is, right? It's an art. It's a skill. So just like a painter, right? When you first paint, it might be all shaky, like a child, right? He's all shaky, right? But then you can make real nice, smooth movements with the brush, right? With the pen, whatever it is. And you have all these fine motor skills that are very smooth, right? And that's what you're doing with your fingers. At first, your fingers, go like this, like very sloppy and not accurate, because we never do this. Of course, it's not going to be accurate. Practice, 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 practice. You build accuracy. And then it's very fine. You can control the movement throughout, and you know exactly where you're going. You're very accurate, right? And take the time to hone these skills, right? A lot of people always say talented. Oh, you're talented, you're talented. That's not true. I would disagree with that personally, right? I don't believe in talent. I believe that it takes practice. I believe in passion, right? Some people are passionate enough about things to practice and put in the hours. If you're not passionate about something and you don't enjoy it, don't love it, then don't put in the time. Why would you practice something you don't enjoy, right? But if you love it, then of course you're going to put in more hours than everybody else. And that's what people refer to as talent, right? So put in the time. If you really love doing it, then do it. Put in the time, put time aside. It doesn't have to be 4 hours a day, if we have a life, right? So try to block a time out. 20 minutes, that's plenty, right? 20 minutes a day, if you can run these scales, right? You go up the sliding way and then go down the running way. You can do this in 20 minutes for sure. And then sliding up, right? And doing all the way up, all the way down with that. And then how you put it together, right? You start putting it together. You can play, you start jamming with stuff, right? And again, it can be just notes. You don't have to use much hammers. It can be like, this kind of stuff. Just play the notes along with a backing track. Type in blues backing track in key of F on YouTube, and then start practicing with it. That's how you start to get the feel of what notes go with what chords, and how, you get the feeling of it. You start to get ideas that way. So start playing with it like that. Start playing with the different patterns. You play in this pattern a while, go to the second pattern, the third pattern, play in that a little bit, up and down, up and down. Then try to start doing some stuff sliding across, right? So if you say you start like in first position, on the fourth fretto, stuff like that. So simple, it doesn't have to be crazy and complex. Don't worry about like trying to make it sound amazing at first, okay? Don't fall into that trap of comparing yourself to other people. Be original, be yourself, be you, right? It's very unique the way you play. Let yourself hear the stuff in your head. Take the time to figure it out, okay? And just play along with it. That's how you start jamming, Just put the track on, F blues backing track, or blues backing track in the key of F. You'll find something on YouTube. Start playing in this scale. All the positions, try to get familiar with the different positions. Just playing single notes. If you try to add in a little bit of hammer-on, a little bit of pull-off, a little bit of sliding from one position to the next, don't worry about how it sounds yet. Just focus on getting some fluidity, getting some familiarity with the patterns, with moving between the patterns. And you'll have some cool stuff come through, It'll sound really cool at times. Other times it'll just sound like you're hitting single notes, which is fine. That's how you start. Be patient with yourself, take the time, put in the time, and enjoy seeing your progress, You'll progress quickly if you put in 20 minutes a day, every day. That's the key. Consistency, just like everything. right? Yoga, everything's consistency, right? Guitar, singing, everything. Practice every day. Doesn't matter if it's super long, but do it every day, all right? So lecture over now. So I'll see you next time. If you have anything else you want to see on the channel, let me know, and I'll try to get it on here for you, all right? Until then, take care.